The snow drifted down from the sky like pale ash, each flake a cold reminder that Colorado in the brutal winter of 1868 spared no mercy for the living. Clara May Whitfield pressed her cheek against the frozen glass of her father's cabin window. For 19 winters she had called this place home, but today it felt more like a cell. Her breath fogged the pain, and through the mist she saw him. The man the town whispered about, Nathan Blackwood, the mountain drifter. He came walking through the storm as if he were born of it, a towering man, cloaked in furs and leather, tugging a mule through snow that swallowed his knees. Even at a distance, he looked like something shaped out of the mountains themselves, broad, silent, alive with wilderness. They said he lived alone in the high peaks, appearing only twice a year to trade his pelts. He rarely spoke unless pressed. Some said he was more beast than man, others that he wasn't human at all. But hardly anyone had seen him up close. Back away from that window, girl. Her father's voice cut through the cabin, as warmth like a blade of ice. Ezekiel Whitfield sat hunched at the rough-hewn table, a bottle of whiskey leaning at his elbow, a ledger splayed out before him. His cheeks were ruddy with drink, his eyes sharp with the greed Clara had come to fear. "Make yourself proper," he commanded. "Your husband-to-be is here." Clara's hands trembled as she smoothed her only good dress, a faded calico blue her mother had sewn before the fever took her 3 summers ago. "Father, please, there must be another way." "Another way?" Ezekiel barked a bitter laugh. "I owe Jonas Harper $800. Sundown is the deadline. Without it, we lose this land, this cabin, even the coats on our backs. That mountain man is willing to settle my debt in exchange for a wife. You ought to be thankful." Thankful, the word stung like burning cinders. Thankful to be sold like livestock. The cabin door opened without a knock. A gust of icy wind and the smell of pine followed the man inside. Nathan Blackwood ducked through the frame. His shoulders nearly brushed both sides of the doorway. Snow clung to his beard and to the fur lining of his hood. He stood there in silence, water dripping from his boots. "Mr. Blackwood," Ezekiel said, rising with a false smile. "Welcome. This here is my daughter, Clara May." Nathan, as storm-gray eyes locked on her, no cruelty in them, no warmth either, just the weight of an old, tired storm. "She is everything I promised." Ezekiel hurried on. "No of her letters can keep account. Her mama raised her right before she passed. She'll make a fine wife." Nathan reached into his coat, drew out a leather pouch, and set it on the table with a heavy thud. "800, as agreed." His voice startled Clara. Deep, yes, but soft like distant thunder. Not the growl she had feared. Ezekiel's eyes glittered as he spilled the coins into his palm. "Yes, all here. Just need your mark?" He shoved the paper forward. "She is yours." "No." Clara stepped forward, her voice cracking but firm. "I want some. You can force me." Her father, his face hardened. "You'll do as you were told. Sheriff Barnes will drag you to the altar if I say so. The law's on my side. Until you are wed, you are mine to dispose of." Clara turned desperately to Nathan. "Please, you dawn to want an unwilling wife. Surely you can see that." The mountain man studied her in silence. Then he picked up the pen and signed his own name with neat, practiced strokes. "The debt is cleared. She comes with me." Clara's stomach sank. "Take only what you can carry," Ezekiel ordered coldly. "Mary Blackwood's got a long road ahead." Her hands shook as she gathered her few belongings, her mother, as Bible, a silver brush, 2 spare dresses, her sewing kit. Everything fit into a small sack. When she returned, her father poured himself another drink, not sparing her a glance. "The preacher's waiting at Harper's post," he muttered. Nathan guided her to his horse. His touch at her elbow was careful, almost tender, though his face gave nothing away. They rode through the storm in silence. Behind them the town disappeared beneath falling snow. At Harper's post, a crowd gathered. Rough men jeered, whispering as Reverend Dawson fumbled with his prayer book. "Do you, Nathan Blackwood, take this woman?" "I do." "Do you, Clara May Whitfield, take this man?" The silence stretched. Her throat burned. She thought of her father, of the debt, of the law. Then she looked into Nathan's eyes. No triumph, no cruelty, only that weary depth. Something in her broke. "I do." The crowd clapped mockingly. Jonas Harper's gold teeth flashed. Clara felt shame burning on her cheeks. They rode away as the sun bled red across the snowy mountains. Behind her, the lights of the town vanished. Before her, only wilderness. By nightfall, she could no longer feel her hands. Then she saw a cabin of logs, smoke curling from the chimney. A home, not a shack. Inside, warmth enveloped her. Everything neat, precise, cared for. Not the den of a beast, but the dwelling of a man who valued order in chaos. "You'll sleep there," Nathan said, pointing to a small cot. "Work starts at dawn." He ladled stew into a bowl of venison and herbs and ate in silence. Later, when she shivered beneath her thin blanket, she heard his steps. He laid a wolf pelt over her, still warm from the fire, then returned to his own bed without a word. Clara clutched the pelt, its wild scent filling her lungs. In that quiet kindness, she glimpsed something no rumor had ever spoken of. The mountain man had a gentle heart, and that scared her more than cruelty ever could. Friends, if you are enjoying this tale, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your likes and comments keep these forgotten frontier stories alive. Days settled into rhythm. Nathan rose before dawn, fire already lit, coffee brewing by the time Clara stirred. His words were few, practical. Water is low. Bread is near gone. Keep the fire strong. Yet his silence, the hardship, was the silence of a man too long alone. Clara swept the floors, hung laundry in the thin winter sun, cooked simple meals, mended torn seams. She had done these chores before, but here they meant survival, not just duty. At night, while wolves howled and the wind rattled shutters, Nathan sat by the fire, carving pine with surprising delicacy, birds in flight, animals caught in motion. Clara longed to ask why, but his quiet presence made her hesitate. One afternoon, while cleaning, she found a trunk beneath his bed. Inside, books. Shakespeare, poetry, novels worn soft with use, margins filled with neat notes. "You can read them." Nathan's voice came from the doorway, startling her. "I didn't mean to pry," she stammered. "It is not prying. You live here now. Can you read?" "Yes, my mother taught me." Something shifted in his face, almost a smile. Winter nights are long. A man needs more than his own thoughts. That evening, after supper, he read aloud. His deep, steady voice brought Shakespeare's words to life. Clara sat frozen, her sewing forgotten, the firelight etching his features in shadow. For the first time since her forced marriage, she felt something beyond fear. The next night she read to him. Her voice trembled at first, but Nathan listened with quiet patience. Soon, reading became their ritual. When a blizzard trapped them inside for 3 days, books carried them through. Nathan carved by firelight, steady even as wind screamed outside. When Clara twisted her ankle on ice, he bounded gently as though she were glass. "You are not a burden," he told her. "You are my wife." His words carried weight. Over weeks, she saw his small habits, knocking snow from boots, never crowding her space, careful with everything he touched. Finally, she asked, "Why did you take me? Why pay my father's debt?" He was quiet a long time. Then, "Did T want a wife?" Harper came, said a man owed money, had a daughter. If I refused, he'd sell her to the mining camps. I know what happens to women there. So you saved me. Made a trade, he said gruffly, though his eyes softened. That night, she did not feel like property. She felt protected. Later, he handed her a carved sparrow. "For you." She set it beside her mother, as Bible where sunlight struck its wings. Then came her own trial. A mountain cat pawed at one of Nathan's traps. Clara grabbed the rifle he had trained her with and fired into the air. The beast fled. Nathan rushed up, rifle ready. When he saw her holding the smoking gun, something shifted in his face. He pulled her into his arms. "You were brave," he said, his voice low, carrying more meaning than the words themselves. That night, when their eyes met across the fire, neither looked away. Spring crept into the mountain. Snow melted into streams, green pushing through earth. Clara, once a frightened girl forced into marriage, now felt herself changing into a woman who chose to stay. Their days were hard but steady. Evenings filled with books, songs, or simple silence. Sometimes she hummed old tunes, and one night, Nathan surprised her by joining. Softly, his harmony carrying the same tenderness she had begun to see in him. When nightmares dragged her back to Harper's post, she woke gasping. Nathan was there, instantly. "Breathe," he said, steady as always. When she reached out, trembling, he held her hand. Rough palm, sure grip. "Tell me something real," she whispered. He spoke of Eagle's Peak, where he once saw the sunrise paint the world gold. "Made me feel small," he said. "But good small. Part of something bigger." Her fear ebbed. She slept soundly, but danger returned. 5 riders came, led by Tom Corwin, nephew of Nathan, as old friend. Tom wore a stolen badge in bitterness. He accused Clara of witchcraft, of bewitching Nathan, blaming her for his uncle's death. They tied her hands, dragged her to a shack, threatening Nathan's life. But the mountains had not abandoned her. Wolves circled that night, their howls shaking the men's courage. Then Nathan's voice cut through the dark. Let her go. Last chance. Tom reached for his gun. A wolf leapt, knocking it aside. Panic broke them. Nathan stormed in, rifle steady, eyes of stone. He cut Clara free and whispered, "Not your fault, never your fault." They walked home with wolves pacing silently beside them. That night, as Nathan cleaned her wound, Clara whispered, "I love you." His gray eyes softened, his rough voice cracked. "I love you, Clara May, more than I thought I could love again." From then on, their marriage was no bargain. It was a choice. When spring fully came, Nathan took her to Eagle's Peak. Together they watched the sunrise rebirth the world. Years passed. The cabin grew into a home. Clara tended a garden. Nathan built a porch. Wolves still appeared at storms, guardians at the edge of trees. One spring morning, Clara stood by the fence, hands over her round belly. Nathan came behind, wrapping arms around her. "Shouldn't you be resting?" The peas want to plant themselves, she teased, leaning into him. When their daughter was born, wolves gathered in the clearing, a circle of gray shadows watching as new life came. Nathan placed a carved wolf in the cradle, a gift for the child who would know both wild and warmth. Clara looked at her baby, then at Nathan, the silent man of the mountains who had once frightened her. "Nobody wanted to be the mountain drifter's wife," she whispered, "until I saw your gentle heart." Nathan kissed her brow. His voice broke. "And nobody thought I could love again until you gave me reason." The wolves howled beneath the stars. Inside their cabin, love had taken root stronger than fear, gossip, or wilderness itself. Clara was no longer a girl sold for debt. She was Nathan, his wife by choice, his partner, his home. Together they built a future of strength, tenderness, and the fierce promise of the mountains. If this story touched you, please subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps these stories alive, and I'd be honored to bring you more journeys like this one.